How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the greatest chain on earth, perhaps the greatest show on earth so far, in all the ways that we wish were inverted. Anyways, welcome back to the show. Happy Wednesday out there. Hope you're doing well. Not April Fool's Day. We got past that one. I actually did look at X last yesterday because I think the stuff I did look at, because you remember it and then you kind of forget. And then I don't think I saw anything too crazy. So either I've got a very well tailored feed where I'll just spend less time on one of those. So anyways, got a great show for you today. I think my words correct on that. Kong is back. We're going to do a PulseChain update. Welcome back to the show, Crypto Kong. He's real.
What's going on?
He's real.
Yeah, I'm back.
He's a real person.
I got my webcam. I don't know what it
is. That too.
Every time, everything's working flawlessly up until I come and I join these streams, and then the computer just breaks immediately. So, but yeah, we're here. We're live. Another for you stream. So
another you said 4 year or
for you stream.
For you stream.
Yeah, it's just plain.
Are you gonna say 4 more years? Just 4 more years.
Yeah, just 4 more years. But
that's the new rally cry. Yeah, I mean, and the shirt does say, "I'm trying to get 1,000 T-shares." So there are goals that people have in this community, and can't think of better goals than stacking T-shares, stacking coins, not getting wrecked. Those seem like some pretty reasonable ones.
Yeah, I think that's what it's all about, right? Stacking cryptos, not getting wrecked, and trying to have fun even when the market's down. So I think there is still tokens. Like maybe we could talk about them a little bit later on stream. That might be worth
tokens. People still like tokens. Yeah.
Like I'll mention most token. Like I think that one, like check out its WPLS pair. Like it's looking not bad whatsoever. So
there is the most. A lot of people. Yeah. Is it Richard's token? Did he create pump dot tires? Is that official product? We've speculated on that before.
Is that a conspiracy?
The mystery indeed. Real quick, Mr. Chuck, it's been stressful being down and sideways for so long in the bear market, but the euphoria from being up will fix all that. So close to the finish line. We're all going to make it. I like those nice, cheerful, rational words there, Mr. Chuck. In the sea of poopy town. So pretty good. I like it. Yeah.
The glory will be glorious. So
the glory will be glorious. Just keep the. I mean, there's always a handful of just puns and different repeated phrases, greatest hits. We can just keep shouting until they come true. Nothing else. This one I wanted to cover real quick before we get into. I know we got some pump tires going on as well, but I just want to remind everyone, even though D-Bank and Ravi decided to, I think somebody would say go the way of the soy. That's probably how he would describe it if I were to channel that by not unsupporting PulseChain, which is weird, even though there is a dedicated campaign I've heard to leave a lot of very honest reviews on the pages of their products and let them know that their users would like to have better features in a very polite, respectful way. TradingView in the sea of Goblin Town, TradingView has now added PulseChain coins. So if you go to shopping TradingView, PulseChain, before a lot of stuff did not work, kind of sucked, and now they have Hex Wrap Pulse pair. You can see here on TradingView. You know, a lot of people before. I don't know if you ever went on the bigger streams. I know that for a while, I think me and who was it? Was it Fast Abdul? Somebody it was we were like, people were going on the bigger crypto streams and being like, hey, what do you think about PulseChain? Especially last year when we had a lot of pumps and stuff going on. And so many times they would try to go to CoinMarketCap. They would try to go to TradingView and to try to use all these tools that didn't support it or didn't have the right data or whatever. And now, at least TradingView, every once in a while we get somebody who's like, you know what? Yeah, we want to do this. We'll put some PulseX pairs and stuff on there. So shout out to everyone who doesn't delist us. You are far and few in between from time to time. Why can't I get to the chart? Okay, yeah, this is at least one piece of it. So there you go.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I think a lot of people even like TradingView for whatever indicators and stuff they use on there. So it's nice that people want to chart these things like that. I think that adds to it, right? Even if like I think some of the charts even would entice some traders to come over and even trade the charts. So now that it's on TradingView, it really it's really nice. And I don't know if is that the full chart? Looks different
This
than
is
deck screener.
Yeah, when I go to chart, this is what it says.
Is
But
it
I
at
don't know.
SAC price right now? That's what it's
No,
saying.
it's a tenth of SAC price, isn't it? So because SAC price was, this is when we got the pump, the wick up. Is it? I mean, I don't know. I'm just trying to extrapolate. That would be the data because it hit around SAC price around that time, and then now we're around 1/10 of SAC price. 3 zeros one instead of 2 zeros one, or is it?
I think
Is
we're
there a
4
zero
zeros.
missing? Yeah, we are 4 zeros. Interesting. Why are we missing a zero?
Either way,
Okay.
you know, TradingView is they're forecasting their price forecasting us.
Are they bullish? Are they bullish? Or are they being like, you know what, we're just going to drop zero. You guys will get it. Don't worry.
You guys deserve it, man.
We deserve it. There you go. Well, there's that. There's that at least. Yeah, in the sea of up and downs, we have a few interesting pieces. But what have you been noticing, Colin? What is other than I've literally set comments off on my post for the last week or so, just not interested in the opinions of lots of people that they have from time to time is in the community. If one thing or another they have agreements towards or just aren't very positive. So I went ahead and just did that for a little bit just so I can I don't have to mute or look at stuff that isn't so amazing from time to time. But how have you been navigating the sea of PulseChain lately?
I think it's been okay. Like Swami's talked about 90% cores, 10% lottery, and I know we've been having some what feels like disasters happening on PulseChain. I think there's a lot of drama, and I think there's a lot of people, and I'm not sure everyone even knows exactly what's happening. Like just in general of like I think there's a lot of misinterpretations, and then there's a lot of this and a lot of that, and then I think even if you do know what's happening, you might not even actually know what's going on, like what's actually happening. It's kind of super general, but kind of the point is there's still plenty of tokens on PulseChain. Like even if we were to check the deck screener today, that are moving up, right? Like double-digit percents in a day. Like even some of I think even the cores now are up a little bit from the lows. So we'll see if like we get a little bit of some more kind of bleeding out from some of the core tokens and stuff. But I will say as well as I think this has a lot to do with Ethereum and what we're seeing happen with some of the performance over there. Like I think if Ethereum was $6,000 right now, or even like I think if it held up with Bitcoin better, it should be around like $4,000 to $6,000 right now. And I think if you saw that for Ethereum, you'd probably see PulseChain as a whole doing a lot better. So we're probably waiting for that Bitcoin dominance to drop and that Ethereum to pump and that kind of altcoin season to kind of prevail. It's kind of my take on everything right now. So yeah,
I think the most reasonable like summary of a lot of the price action or lack thereof is why would this be glory time? Like what, I come back to a lot of times, is it November, December 2025? Like there's all these different pieces that, if there's all these, like the feeling of I want things to go up. And then there's the looking at the data and being like, well, Ethereum's not up. Crypto market in a whole is not up. Bitcoin is not doing so well. We haven't got all the government stuff that may or may not pump bags. Like why would PulseChain be at breaking and murdering all-time highs at this point? I think it's definitely a lot of like just common sense data to look at there too.
exactly.
Very important question from Red Squirrel. Can I look at my portfolio yet?
You can, little peek, like just a glance.
I don't look at the price charts.
You can make sure it's still there, but other than that,
you know what? Security tip: if your computer's not on, very hard to hack it. I've heard that before.
that's a good point, RHMax.
if you don't open your wallet and you don't turn on your computer and browse websites, you are in fact reducing your attack surface. Funny enough, how that works. So, hashtag security. At this point, BlackRock is more bullish than some of us. I know every time I turn on the TV, if you ever watch any of the altcoin daily videos, like there's always almost every day. Some of them are just like shilling other coins mostly, or not very interesting. And like when I look at the titles or get into them for a minute, but everyone, like, they have like these 8 or 10 minute videos, and they're always talking about all these different. They'll have the interview with Coinbase CEO. They'll have the senators and Loomis and everyone up there talking about Bitcoin strategic reserve. They'll be talking about BlackRock and how they've launched a new ETF, or they did this in Europe or whatever. There's a lot of bullish news out there in the big money sector. So don't sleep on that.
I think BlackRock as well, you're able to track some of their wallets, and although they did take profits, and this is the same with World Liberty Finance as well, they're adding back in even to things like Ethereum now. Like as of, I think even as of recently, they've added like maybe 7,000 Ethereum like in the past month. Although they sold, or they transferred out what looks like quite a lot, they have started to accumulate back in for what it's worth. So like, and I think it kind of makes sense with what we're seeing here. We talk about like even like kind of maybe smart money rinsing out some of these players who just kind of get emotional and like, buy the top, sell the bottoms, right? So when everything was all happy and jolly, right? And anyone buying, like if they're selling down here, like this is exactly the time when BlackRock is buying, right? And then reverse as well, like when BlackRock was taking profits, like that's probably when the people who are complaining the most now were buying, which was at the tops, which isn't a problem. Like chances are you'll go on and make new all-time highs. But I think the thing is like the smart money knows how to kind of market make and kind of move and navigate through the markets. And I think a lot of people just act emotionally and just like they see the chart going down and they think it's over for them forever. But yeah, like I don't think I've seen. We could even pull it up on the stream as well if you want to, RHMax. But they're starting to accumulate Ethereum and stuff. So like World Liberty Fi.
If you got something to share, put it. I'll put it up there. And just want to say shout out Postcards real quick. This post from them. In the past year, we deployed around $44,000, 80K postcards, 15K letters into action. A tiny budget for a nationwide push. There, it looks like some very high medium home price neighborhood zip codes where postcards are going, hoping to onboard people who perhaps aren't in crypto yet and are looking for a product that they can buy low and sell high on. So never know. I like it. Another piece I'll cover while you're pulling that up too. I haven't tried this yet, but Richard, I think I saw Coffee tweet about it as well. Here's a very easy way to on-ramp PulseChain through Ethereum, peer-to-peer cash. So you got Venmo, Revolut, Cash App, and Wise. 4 different chains, Gibbs.finance. So I've not heard of this before. But yeah, very interesting. Looks like a way to onboard more people to PulseChain through Ethereum using different apps that everyone probably has on their phone. So it's pretty cool. Maybe they'll buy the bottom. Maybe they will. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think even Richard's talked about like more ways to onboard. I wonder too if like he talked about like centralized exchange before. I don't know if he put that one up to the community or if he was talking about it. I know he did the DEX and stuff, so it's already like at a crypto exchange. But I think it'd be cool like to have more centralized exchange support for PulseChain as well, which I think is potentially in the works as well.
I think it'd be nice. I think like, especially during these times, it's like, I never like to, like beg or just be super nice and just hope, oh, well, I hope we get it listed here, or hope they support PulseChain. And like, because every time somebody delisted or unsupported, I'm just like, yeah, that's just another counterparty. There's another counterparty that we signed up to that at any point, out of our control, can just pull their support. And it's like, I don't know. I really hope we're able to get back to mostly decentralized stuff. Of course, I mean, all the different services have value and can help onboard, and are like going to be great for getting people to buy, the coins and stuff like that. I'm a little bit uncomfortable with this, with the idea that like we need centralized entities for PulseChain to pump. We need to just go out of our way. And I mean, again, there's tons of people in the community who've done a great job messaging to the big players about, how there's so many PulseChain users and how it'd be beneficial to support and all this stuff. I really hate to see when all that work and effort, and then even the stuff we've got it listed on, they can just delist, they can just remove, and it's just like, I don't want to. Again, I want our community and our chain to get back into shape where we were in the hex times, where we didn't need central exchange, we didn't need all these things to happen. Maybe we need them more during some eras versus other eras, but hopefully we're going to graduate to an era where people are begging to get into the chain instead of us having to be like, please don't delist us, or try to, start conversations, use all the connections we have to get to try to sway their mind. I don't like talking to centralized players to get them to do stuff for me. It's just like the ethos of the community. I hope we're able to get back there. Again, we need it. Sometimes we need centralized stuff more than others, but I'm looking forward to getting back where we don't need anybody. Like, we are the product.
I think that's a good point. Even if you look at something like Rabby, where I don't know how you like just remove support like that, but not exactly ideal. And it kind of ties into, I think a lot of people on PulseChain, like they have whatever narrative, and like when you hear, I think I saw it a lot on Twitter yesterday of people saying Rabby rugged them and this and that and this and that, and they're spreading kind of like this kind of false narrative a little bit, I'll say, because all your coins are they're on the blockchain, kind of, they're not in your wallet per se, right? Like it's not like your wallet's really holding the tokens. It's kind of just letting you see them in that sort of manner. So yeah, I think you have a point there. Is like people will freak out more for some reason when there is like it, or when or if there is some sort of like removal in that kind of in support or whatever. So
well, if you don't know about blockchain either, it is jarring. It is like, hey, I saw prices and listing for my coins, and then one day they're not there. And once you get into PulseChain, again, some people are more educated than others. They're gonna understand these things. Of course, we're like, yeah, obviously they're on the blockchain. But just as a user experience from those platforms, like when you're thinking about making these decisions for unsupporting something, it's got to go through your brain that the people using do you not have metrics of people who are using the chains for I don't think that's the simplest thing in the world to see. Oh, we have 1 million users using Ethereum. We have 500K using, chain number 2. We have, 200K users using PulseChain, like all that stuff. And you're like, okay, if we do this for whatever reason we choose, there's going to be a lot of people waking up who have no idea what happened and be mad. And that they may, again, leave honest reviews. They may go vent about it on social media. They may, is this really, I don't know why that's not a bigger factor in their decision, especially when the community has, gave them free support and free good publicity for such a long time. So there must be some calculus there. I don't imagine these people are stupid. They must have made some rational decision, I would think, or they just didn't do enough research about our community and like how much that we can support products.
That's a really good point, actually, right? Because you would think they'd know, like, oh yeah, half of our users actually use PulseChain here or something like that. And of course, I'm just throwing out the number there.
Yeah, exactly.
Like what it is.
What's the point in alienating an entire community who is helping onboard people to your wallet? We have yet to hear a good answer. Or again, maybe they didn't use the metrics. Maybe they don't have good enough data to make better decisions like that. Or maybe they do, and they just have a good reason, their own reason for doing it. So.
Yeah. Also bring up this, we were talking about World Liberty Fi. This is their Ethereum balance as of the past month, and you can sort of see like this is when they've been starting to DCA even earlier in the month. We'll see if they DCA early into March as well. This was March 5th to 6th. They had like kind of a massive, what looks like a massive buy there. So we'll see if that continues maybe into April and stuff, if they continue to DCA. Another thing is too is like if we look at their USDC from the past month, and you can actually see it looks like they've been spending it, right? Whatever they've been spending it on, I guess could be cryptos and stuff like this, right? Maybe they're just taking it out or doing whatever with it, but it looks like they are spending their stable coins, right? So for someone who's like, let's say you've been stacking cash for the past month, this is quite literally the opposite of what World Liberty Fi's been doing. So doesn't mean that World Liberty Fi is right. Doesn't mean that anybody else is wrong. It just means that, like, I don't know. Perhaps maybe these guys know where things are headed in a sort of sense of like the kind of general, even global kind of markets, and then even kind of crypto as well in that sort of sense, right? Especially if I think if you're the president, you kind of have, or you're adjacent to kind of a crypto project, then you'll probably have some sort of say of like where things could go. Like you probably wouldn't have $84 million in something that's going to fail or be unsuccessful, or that you wouldn't try and make more successful, right? So
do you think everyone who's not broke is buying right now?
Not everyone, but probably some people, yeah. But I think there's still people who are scared and perhaps think there's still like super bad times ahead and stuff like this, which could be true. But I think even now it's getting to the point where like prices kind of come down so much where like even you don't have to go all in into one DCA, but just having that kind of looks like even here like every 10 days or so they're spending some of their stable coins, so that type of thing.
Okay. One other thing I wanted to share real quick, and I'll pop it back over to you. Something I don't know if you played around with lately. I know we talked about it on the show before, but this is a post from Dirty Crypto. Does a lot of great outbound messaging there as far as on the X or just messaging in general on the social media. What would happen in PulseChain ecosystem cores if they got 10 million injection? We're operating on a low liquidity environment, specifically 87% less, but this is what price would look like. Buy and sell pressure not included. Hex seems to move the hardest. Look at 163x here, according to the picture with a $10 million injection. And yeah, is that still, have you still been getting that feeling of, man, when money come in, money make price go up?
I think I was muted there, but yeah, even if you're looking at RH and what he's been doing with the liquidity pools and stuff, like if you guys have watched this price appreciation simulator for a little while, like since it kind of came out and stuff, you would have noticed that the amount of money you need to put in versus the amount of X's that gets outputted out, you get a lot more X's now for the same or less dollar amounts put in. So like before, if you injected 10 million, you wouldn't 50x the price on the liquidity setup how we had it before on PulseX. But now it looks like we're in this environment of low inflation, high price appreciation potential, low inflation, and kind of lower liquidity to help with that price appreciation. So and like we talked about, I think it will depend on what's going on with Ethereum. Like we see, even I think the PulseChain reserve is not at all time highs, right? So you can imagine like if Ethereum was at 6,000 right now, like how much would be in that reserve? Probably like almost $1 billion, over $1 billion, around that. So
got a question here from MS. Basically, whales in general. I think that's a common concern in the ecosystem where we haven't. And again, I think a lot of this colored by red candles and price go down and all that stuff too, understandably so. But do you think we if we've had whales that have been cashing out or have been benevolent or whatever in the ecosystem, like what turns that around? Like what is it? Literally just there's some catalyst where again, I asked before is are people who aren't broke buying right now, if there's some event where either the markets will broadly turn around or PulseChain has some, has like three white swans in a row, is there, I guess, how big of a concern is it that there is, significant players holding the price down, or not letting it go as high because, that maybe they want a 10x instead of a 100x or something. Not talking in particular cases or wells, or I'm just in general, like the fact that people have a lot of coins and make decisions with them. Do we just need some kind of catalyst to make it make more sense to hold for longer, and so the whole ecosystem can go up harder?
I think that's a good point. And even like what we've talked about with the environment of PulseX right now, like if you are a dumper, you're not only getting a cheaper price in terms of the actual cheaper price you see listed on the screen in terms of US dollars, but you're selling into a thinner liquidity pool. So if there's $1 million liquidity pool and I want to sell $1 million, I'm not going to take $1 million out of that pool, right? I might take like 500K or something like this, like maybe less than that, even like just after slippage and everything. But you're not taking out $1 million, even if your bag size is worth $1 million. But let's say your liquidity pool is worth $10 million and you have $1 million to sell. You could probably get maybe 800K, maybe more for that $1 million in a $10 million pool. So it gives you kind of a lot more. That's 300,000 more dollars for the same million when you go and sell into a thicker liquidity pool. So kind of what I'm getting at here is like, if you want X amount of dollars, you're going to have to sell even more tokens to get that same amount of dollars. And when you're putting all those tokens in the liquidity pool, you're lowering the price down of that token, right? So if we're talking about PLS in this case, if you're selling down PLS, you're going to lower the price of it. When Richard or whoever or another whale or whichever entity comes in and buys up all those tokens, it's going to be like exponentially cheaper for them to absorb all that supply relative to if this player got to sell a lot higher in a lot more of a thick liquidity pool, they would be able to kind of extract and bridge out a lot more value. So like, I think if we're talking about like extractable value, which is like the amount of stable coins you could potentially bridge out, like right now, I think we're in a good good spot where it's, if you want to extract stable coins, it's not particularly easy, and you have to you have to eat slippage, and that gives an opportunity for people who are buying to kind of reap the benefits of buying like these like exponentially lower prices from like having these like big sellers and these thin pools. So like, is he going to extract forever from the system? Like eventually you'll probably run out of coins, but I think he has big bags and stuff, but could potentially hold it down. But I think it's better for big players to sell it down lower, where we are right now, or even smaller players. Like if you have a ton of smaller players selling it down lower, rather than getting that 10x higher deal and then bridging out with that value. So I think right now we're in that place of still accumulating and still kind of redistributing between like even some of the whales, and like giving an opportunity for some of the smaller players to get a larger position as well. So
Sure. Quick heat check, by the way, too. Did a couple polls recently that I think are interesting. This one, which is more likely story for Hex by the end of 2025. 60% at least, which I feel like is pretty good numbers right now. It was kind of head to head for a while, but yeah, we took 60%. Glory took forever. Whew. Which is beating out. We had everything, then zero. Initial thoughts, Hong. Is it common sense, or is it red candles really showing their redness right now?
it's probably the red candles showing their redness, but I think it also goes to show like how strong the community is, even with all the red candles as well. Like there's probably like, it looks like 60% of the people are still aware that Glory took forever, or might just take a long time, or might take longer than you originally thought, right? And then to the other 40%, it's probably just red candle induced, right? Like if we had a green month right now, you'd probably see that reduced down a lot heavier, right? So
sure. And the one other one I think is interesting data as well. Asked this a few days ago. If PulseChain goes lower, are you buying or selling? Resounding 77% if it goes lower said they would be buying. So I think that's pretty, whatever you see on X or social media or otherwise, and there's no shortage of people that are, not being net positive or at least with their comments these days. And again, rightfully so, for they're expressing however they feel in whatever way. I prefer to be more productive and positive, but everyone's, they're their own person and makes their own choices. This one, people clicking the poll said they're buying if PulseChain goes lower, which is, I think, a pretty good sign of strength as well.
Yeah, I think that's awesome as well. It's like what I would like to see too, and like this might even go into like sometimes there's like top euphoria of like everyone thinking the price is going to continue on going higher and higher and higher forever, right? But then sometimes there's also that to the downside where people think the price is just going to go down and down and down and down forever. But it looks like there's actually support here. And then on top of that, if you have a ton of people like kind of getting greedy for a lower price, then it might not actually come. And you might see people scoop the bottom as you're seeing in this pool before you actually get that like whatever bottom price you were looking for. So say that as well.
Yes. All right, Kong. Pump my tires. I'm using it as a verb. Could be a verb, I guess, too. What's happening in the realm of the newest unofficial PulseChain product? What's interesting in general in that area?
Yeah, I'll cover a bit about like I think there's a lot of noise and stuff, so I'll do my very best to kind of cover the most concise things in the best manner. But and I think it is a lot kind of like you're saying, like it is a lot more speculative than the cores. I think Richard has been on stream a lot talking about his core tokens a lot rather than like pump tire kind of degen stuff. But I wanted to bring a few things up when it comes to these charts and stuff, which I just think is cool. But taking a look here, this is the most WPLS chart. You can actually see it's up 25% today, which is pretty good, right? Like definitely, like even looking at the trending here, definitely one of the looks like one of the top gainers here in the past 24 hours, which I didn't notice that coming onto the stream, but I think that is the case, at least in these trending tokens. But you can actually see here, like it's essentially it's made a new little all-time high here relative to this last one. So kind of what I'm getting at is I think these most tokens or these pump tire tokens are interesting just because it looks like you have some people kind of rotating into them. And there's PDI as well, which I think there's a lot of drama with PDI. Honestly, I have no idea. Like, I have no idea really what to think about that whole situation in terms of. I'm not going to tell anyone to buy it. I'm not going to tell anyone what to do with it or anything like that. But what I am going to say is that it does look like people are kind of rotating over into the most tokens, and like it's going to be their kind of speculative, perhaps another speculative play. And there's also like the platform token as well, up 17% on the day. And even taking a look at this, like, I think it's kind of cool as well. Like you can see the chart's actually starting to move up a little bit. I don't think it's as strong as the most chart. And like just this isn't really any crazy TA, but if you guys remember on most, like there was a lot more of a lot stronger of a pump than there was here on the actual pump token. But to me, it still looks like you're moving up, kind of at least as of recently, kind of up and to the right on this thing. So kind of not bad at all, especially like when we're talking about PulseChain and like that 90% core, 10% lottery, and like even there's a lot of there's a lot of altcoins on PulseChain. I'm not sure how many of them are launched with the best of intentions, and assuming Richard is the player, maybe potential one of like the entities kind of behind Pump Tires in that sort of manner. Maybe this is like for that lottery play, um, safer than some of these other kind of alts that people are coming out with. And that's just kind of how I look at it, is like there's probably millions and millions and millions and millions of coins on PulseChain, and there's only a handful of them that are like so good, and like maybe some of them have good founders, maybe some of them have better founders. But if we're assuming Richard's the founder of these tokens, like that would be that's kind of like, that's my lottery, that's my speculation. And we'll see what happens, as well as like when he gets back on stream and starts talking about, who knows, whatever he's going to talk about, right? But maybe he'll bring up whether or not this is like,
that's a question I want to cover real quick too. Is, I don't know, I think a lot of people are thinking that once SEC, if we beat them again, or finally put the final nail in there, with the you don't need more time because there's nothing else to do type of thing that we're waiting on, maybe 2 more weeks or so, that he'll stream again. I don't know. I mean, honestly, I think my opinion is, I think the interpol, I mean, there's still interpol, so it just strikes me as like, I would think both of them. I would not be surprised if he would not stream until both of those are resolved. I'm not saying Interpol is going to take a long time to get resolved, though. I mean, that could be something. I did a stream the other day. I had brought up a conversation with Jesse in Nuclear Herbs on X around that, where I think, why wouldn't his crack, best legal team money could buy team of people not be, negotiating like favorable conditions to settle whatever is going on over there in the Finland. So, but I don't know. I wouldn't, if SEC goes good again, I'm not like counting down. Okay, we're gonna get a tweet about streaming. That would be nice, but I'm not expecting it at all. I'll say that I just think that, yeah, both of those are relatively important for the ability to live stream. I would think.
I think that's a good point, right? And I think you're probably right. Like, chances are he's, like, the SEC case gets double dismissed, and I think chances are he's probably
Double
not just gonna
dismissed.
turn.
No,
Yeah, probably. Yeah, chances are he's not just.
We're
gonna
so
turn
good,
on
we
the
beat him
webcam.
twice.
It's like, he's like, we had to make sure they were beat. So
he may make a video.
Bruised.
He may make a video. He may release a video, hopefully like an hour long one, like we got before, after SEC is double dismissed. But yeah, I just don't think a live stream is in the cards right now. But I hope I'm wrong. But that's just my speculation.
Yeah, I think even looking at it like that might not be the worst way of doing it. Is just like I don't think he'll live stream, and if he does, that'd be great. But it's like not something you should.
And if he live streams, I would think the charts are going to be looking pretty good. So maybe if the charts are looking really good, then we can start talking about live stream. If the charts are not looking very good, I'm not looking for him to live stream at that point anyway. So it's kind of like a good maybe an indicator, if you will, that I'm looking for is, are things going up, and are things getting dismissed or settled or otherwise? Then I would be like, okay, well, I wouldn't be surprised if he would live stream after that. Maybe that's the formula I'm looking at.
And maybe it's like a glory move where like PulseChain's pump in, case gets double dismissed, Interpol gets thrown out, and then PulseChain pumps even more, and then you have Richard turn on a live stream potentially in the future, like kind of later on down the road, and then you have even more of a green candle session, and then it's kind of just like the glory's been restored, right? And again, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what the narrative's going to be, but no one can really predict what happens in the future, right? But potentially there could be like a positive chain of events that just throws price to the moon. So
I had this funny thought about, what if he does like a Truman Show? If anyone's never heard of that, just Google for like the Truman Show. It's this old movie where they make a TV show about a guy's life, like every day for a year or something like that. It'd be funny if like this whole time Richard was making like these daily update videos, but he didn't release any of them. And he's just like, doing all this footage. We got high 6.2. It's like ready to go as soon as the case gets double dismissed, blah blah blah, and it's like he has like hundreds of hours of footage, and we just and there's like this 10,000 episode documentary on one of the greatest men we hope that ever lived, Richard Hart. Hopefully so. That'd be funny.
I wouldn't be surprised if he has some like clips saved up or something like that, like a few sit down videos he just hasn't released, but he's got like on a hard drive somewhere, which is waiting for the right time. I wouldn't be surprised. But
hello everyone,
yeah.
Richard Hart here. Day 369. I wish I could talk to you more, but don't be sad. Everything's going fine.
Yeah. I miss the old Richard of like reading every single chat and then being like 6 hours behind, like 4 hours behind the stream or whatever, the live chat, and then just like going.
I get this nice little feature. And blocked.
Yeah. But yeah.
So good. Anyways, continue with pumping the tires. And I know we got some security stuff when we wrap up on too.
Yeah, I was just about done here, but I think it's also, for anyone who doesn't know as well, I think some of these tokens, there is an OA allocation. So like most here, there is like 80% allocated to this dev wallet and stuff. So yeah, for what it's worth, like, and it looks like even the largest holders here aren't even quite a whale. So not quite 1% of the supply in terms of like that total supply. So yeah, maybe this thing goes to like a crazy market cap and stuff like that, which is what we kind of talked about with RH products, is like the OA holds a lot of supply and then that gets counted for, like kind of like Satoshi's coins, right? How they get those million tokens still get added to the market cap. So maybe it's something like that as well, and you get like some crazy market caps out of some meme coins out of PulseChain. But yeah, I think it's cool. It's be cool to speculate and see, like, maybe, like I said, if he ever does, maybe he has some videos saved up about like pump tires and stuff like that, right? Who knows if you'll ever bring this up on stream. But I think that's gonna be something I'm gonna speculate on a little bit, have that lottery moon bag ready to go. So
there is a platform to speculate. It's called Pumped on Tires, and again, we who knows who released it, but we know who supports it, and it is the Richard Hart. Quite a few tweets on it if you want to play those games.
So yeah, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to kind of touch on in terms of that, is like
security.
Bring up security.
So we can do security. We'll wrap it up with the security segment here. Keep your coins safe, everyone.
Security.
Yeah. And we just lost half the viewers saying the word. No, not yet. Hang in there for 5 minutes, everyone. You might just keep your coins.
Yeah, I think this will honestly be super valuable, and just for even if you're experienced, this will probably be super valuable just to have, like, it's time to take screenshots of the stream, like now's the time if you're watching live.
Can you zoom in a little bit? Can you get the possible to zoom in? Yeah, there you go.
So yeah. I'm not going to cover these like insanely in depth, because most of them, I really hope it's the case, it's just kind of like, I don't want to say common sense, like kind of self-explanatory in a way, but it kind of almost is in a sense as well. And I think most of the security risk in crypto is like you as a user, right? It's not particularly with like any issue. Sometimes it is like a bug in the software, but usually it's like the user clicks on something, or the user writes down their seed on the computer and stuff. Remember to give your Trezor a little kiss before putting it back in the fireproof lockbox.
Not bad non-advice there. Yeah. I think the first one,
I think that's financial advice.
That Zenith is definitely financial advice. So I hope you're a financial advisor. Otherwise, that's, you better. I'd talk to Nuclear Herbs.
Better watch out.
Things, just in case. That's probably not advice. Yeah, it's not even advice. It was just like that's just as a story. That's your own narrative, Zenith. Okay. It's just a narrative. That's a story. On the first one though, never entered seed on that website. I think that one sounds like common sense, but funny enough, people don't understand how crypto works half the time. So to them, it's like, no, my I was about to say, no, my seed words are my money. It's like, yes, that is true, but they're your key, they're your money, they're your whoever possesses owns it. So it's not like a wallet that you can that has credit cards in it that you can change, as tell a centralized entity that no, that wasn't me that spent the money, give it back or not charge me or get a new one. Lose seed words. They go to they control your money. They allow you to send and receive it and interact and stuff like that. So if you go to a website and it ever says, and there used to be websites people you would use too before like all the great extensions and stuff started becoming popular and all that, where you could enter seed words to get access to money. And I mean, again, now you got to trust the website that they're not doing this stuff, and a lot of them were legit, but at the same time, it's just not a good thing to practice in general because you never want to get used to interacting with websites with highly critical information such as your money. Your money is seed, like your seed words. Those words give anyone who has them access to your money. So you putting them onto a website, you're trusting that website to not do anything bad with them. You're trusting whoever owns your computer to not do anything bad with them. You're trusting that it's malware free, that you're trusting that no one's looking over your shoulder. You're putting all these things, you're trusting all these things that can't go wrong, which often do go wrong. Just remove yourself from that. Just don't type it in. Don't put it on the computer, or avoid doing as much as possible, and you'll have less problems.
Yeah. And like maybe, like you said, maybe there's some websites that perhaps were legit back in the day and like let you do whatever you needed to do. But I think just as a general rule of thumb, like, and unless you know what use case you're doing and you're super advanced and if you're a beginner, no website should be asking you to import your seed phrase or type like no dApp should ask for your seed phrase. Essentially, that's not, shouldn't happen. If it does happen, like again, never enter your seed on a website. Everything like RHMax has said, you're trusting probably a lot of random people on the internet that they're going to keep your seed phrase safe, which maybe they do, maybe they don't. But ideally, if you were to do something like this, I would be under the impression that my seed phrase has been compromised. Even if my funds are still there, I would just be under the impression that it's compromised. Yeah, paper, metal, hardware, and by hardware backups, like I'll say that's probably more sophisticated as like, because you don't want it digital, right? You really don't want it digital. But I mean, like if you're really sophisticated, like you can have some sort of like hardware backup for some of your stuff. But I would say for the general use or beginner, like paper, metal, seed phrase is probably your best bet. Like Zenith is saying, write it down, store that kind of thing in a fireproof safe. Give it a kiss before you put it in there to make sure your bags will pump, things of that nature. Grave on metal, never save in a plain text file or screenshot screenshot to your device. And that doesn't even need to be like a plain text. It could be like any sort of file, right? So never save in like any file or screenshot to your device, right? I feel like this is common sense as well, but there is people who probably think this is a safe way or a secure way of storing their seed, which maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Maybe if you're super sophisticated, you can get a secure way of doing it, but for the beginner, probably not.
Well, don't save. And well, the problem too, if you save it to your device, not only is anyone who access to your device can get a hold of it, if you've synced with the cloud, now anyone who compromised your cloud account to get access to your files can get a hold of it. That's a common thing you hear of a lot of hacks happening is, oh, they got access to my iCloud, they got access to my Google account or whatever, and they looked at my pictures and then they found the screenshot of personal information and then they used it to whether it's wallets or otherwise. So I did a tweet the other day, stop syncing stuff with the cloud. There's other ways to back up your pictures and your data and stuff like that. I know or if you're going to, just make sure you don't store any sensitive data on the thing is being backed up.
That's a good point, right? Like iCloud photos and stuff, and like if you screenshot something, like it's gonna be like I think that's probably the worst thing you could probably do, right? Even relative to like if you saved it, maybe if you saved it in a file locally on your cell phone, might be better than screenshotting it into the iCloud, but still probably both bad, you know? So,
Well, if you got your phone, you probably have a piece of paper there. So it's
you hope
kind of
so.
like, it's like, go here where pen, I don't know if people use pencil and paper or pen and paper anymore, but for the people who do, you may have one lying around your house, and that, not that that's the most secure way to do it, but at least there's not a copy of it on your phone that if your phone gets hacked or gets that your cloud account gets hacked, they can access to it. So it's not telling anyone to write it down on a pen and paper, but I'm just saying if you got limited options in front of you, there's probably a better one to choose.
Yeah. And then this one, I'd say it's more for like beginner users as well. But I'd say never, or at least try not to import your seeds into browsers, right? This kind of includes like websites or like even into like an extension. If you're doing anything to do with like Trezor in the browser or something like this, like maybe there is some safe stuff you could do. Maybe it isn't as safe, but I think just as a general rule of thumb, like just try not to import seeds into the browser unless 100% necessary, right? Maybe use like cold wallets, connect your cold wallet to whatever browser extension wallet you're using, and then transfer funds between addresses that way, right? Of course, it takes more work, right? You can't just like you have to get your Trezor, your Ledger, your cold wallet, sign, and do this and that. But I think that's infinitely more secure than let me copy the seed phrase and then write it down here, and then or like let me not even write it down. Let me just text it to myself because that's easier, and then let me paste it into this browser. It's probably not the best way of doing things. And then
Yeah, I think just on that real quick, I think that a lot of people probably are going with the strategy of keeping only a little bit in the having a hot wallet, quantum wallet, or whatever, like burner wallet, whatever you want to call it, having whatever they want to trade or do stuff with there. So if that gets compromised, they get compromised. It's kind of like, that's the place that transactions can take place if they need to make constant transactions and they don't want to set up a hardware wallet or whatever for that one. But the majority of the funds, I imagine a lot of people keep them, can probably use a strategy of keeping them far away, don't access very often, secure, generated securely, all the stuff the hardware wallet offers, and you're not using them. So if you're not using it, if you're not plugging in the computer and you're not accessing it, and you have it securely, the seed word secure, how are you going to get compromised? So it's like you're keeping it far away from the internet, far away from daily transactions, even if it is a code wallet. And then if you have a hot wallet doing hot wallet stuff, then all the stuff you have doing that, you assume there's some risk there, but you're managing it because it's not all your funds. So it's probably one way a lot of people manage it too.
I think another thing I'll say as well is if you're using Google Chrome and MetaMask as a combination, just you might have to be a little bit extra careful and just make sure if you're using sites that are bookmark sites, if Google Chrome is telling you a site's malicious, just double check that the site you're going to is not malicious. Things of this nature. Just because it's like what we talk about with Windows, where if everyone uses Google Chrome and MetaMask with Windows, then if you're an attacker, what are you going to target? Google Chrome with MetaMask on Windows,
I
right?
don't
So
have any
that's
data
just
on
the
that, but
recipe.
I feel like that is the most commonly targeted one. I don't have the chart in front of me, but if I were to imagine, that is probably the most commonly targeted. You're driving on the wrong side of the internet profile of people. So yeah,
Yeah, and I liked your analogy a lot of like bad neighborhood, good neighborhood, right? You're driving through a bad neighborhood, right? Ideally, you don't want to be doing that. Maybe you just take a like ideally you want to go through the safer kind of neighborhood, right?
Apple.com.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we talk about is like try not to use Windows and with Chrome with MetaMask all in combination because you're you're not asking for it, but if you're not careful, like you're kind of asking for it to be compromised in some
You're
sort
putting
of
yourself
manner.
in a position that you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. That's kind of the way I frame it.
It's like it's like you're driving through a bad neighborhood, right? It's like you're not asking for it, but if you are driving through a bad neighborhood at night, it's like you are kind of you are asking for it in a way.
Don't be
So
surprised if the bullet hose and the stop sign also end up in your vehicle.
exactly, right? It's like, oh,
Please,
what's going
everyone,
on over there?
drive safely out there, everyone.
But yeah,
You have these. You plan on putting these on X, by the way? Like you plan on like sharing them?
I definitely could.
I think it'd be a great
Definitely
post. I
make
mean,
a
just
make a nice
FYI.
thread.
Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely, maybe I will right after the stream and stuff, because these are, I feel like these are the most basic. Like I said, like I almost feel like common sense or like self-explanatory tips, but like it's, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the basics of security that you should try and always practice and stuff. So
Yep. All right. Any other
but yeah,
ones you want to hit on real quick, and then we'll wrap up?
I'd say we pretty much covered everything. Like even here, like keep your seed off the internet. Use these to sign transactions instead of importing seeds in the hot wallets. We covered that. Stay offline when possible. We covered that, right? Generate your backup seeds on an air gap device, no internet. Kind of covered that a little bit as well in terms of like even like your Trezor. It's like a secure way to generate seeds. Never paste your seeds online everywhere. Like be cautious of free airdrop. Connect your wallet sites. Um, Maybe last thing I will cover is just be careful when signing messages when connecting to sites. So like what I like to do and what I tell people is have a dummy MetaMask, or here it's like the decoy MetaMask, which is like this is like the most like you don't have any money on this. Like the seed word could be posted on Reddit because you don't care about any of like you don't care about the wallet, right? Its only purpose is to connect to brand new dApps or brand new websites, like that type of thing, right? So, for example, if you connect to a website and it's asking you to sign, just be very careful of what you're signing, right? Don't just be, oh yeah, let me connect, sign, approve, sign. Don't be doing that type of thing. Get a fresh wallet, connect to the site, see what happens. Even if there's like, let's say 4 PulseChain in the wallet, or like maybe like 400 PulseChain in the wallet, 4,000 PulseChain in the wallet, just so there's like, it's not enough money where, oh no, I lost 4,000 PulseChain. That's like, I don't even know what the dollar value on that is, like probably less than a cent, but
Less than I want it to be.
yeah, right. But yeah, like not an amount where it's at all. Like you shouldn't have even more than like $1 in this wallet is what I'm talking about. Like there shouldn't be more than $1 in it, and you just use it to connect to like brand new sites and stuff. So that I think that'll be the last thing I bring up on this. So yeah.
I like it. Good stuff. Yeah, I look forward to the X post. Let me know. Definitely want to share that. And everyone, you can put all the information out there. The action's up to you, though. Everyone's accountable for their own funds and their own behavior and trading and sentiment. And all we can do is come on here and give you some non-advice and tips for things that we've done that's worked successfully. But at the end of the day, you got to keep your own coins and the dollar. Hopefully, you buy the ones that go up and get the maddest of gains once we get to that point. So, Colin, where can people find out more about you and all of your awesome stuff?
Yeah, you can find me at CryptoConk145 on X and YouTube. Probably a little bit more active on X nowadays, and it's the same handle on Telegram if you need to reach me. So like my main sort of project kind of page that kind of work on is looking to PDGC. You can kind of see it on screen there. That's like stats page for one of the top performing cryptos on the Pulse chain, and potentially even in all of crypto, at least in that given time frame. So very interesting stuff if you want to check that sort of thing out. But yeah, that's where people could find me.
Awesome. All right, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Scivive and 5555. We are out.